Okay, so after we've read the lesson in the textbook, we are going to compare and contrast these two models of the solar system. So first thing I like to do is break down the words. So we have geo and centric. So the prefix geo means Earth. And the next part, centric, so it's geocentric. Centric is just like a center. So that's the next part, is it is Earth-centered. So that would mean that the sun and the planets all would orbit Earth. Okay, so that's the next part. Sun and planets orbit Earth. Okay, so we'll go into the different scientists that believed this, that supported this model. Aristotle was the first one. And again, this is just in your textbook. All this information is in a textbook. That's where I got this from. So he believed Earth was the center of everything. So Aristotle believed Earth was the center of all things. And then the next scientist is Ptolemy. Kind of a weird spelling. So Ptolemy came after, and he made a detailed model of the geocentric, and okay, let's see. And it was used for over 14 centuries. So detailed model for 14 centuries. So the way his model was described is that it was wheels on wheels. So he basically believed that the planets moved on small circles that in turn moved on larger circles. So that's why they described it as wheels on wheels. Okay, so moving on, we'll go to our heliocentric model, and again we'll break down the word. So helio, that means sun, and again center, so this one, the sun is at the center. So that'll be our next part, sun centered. So that would mean that Earth and the other planets orbit the sun. So Earth and other planets orbit the sun. Okay, and again going into scientists. So Aristarchus, he made a model that had really small orbits. Had small orbits. And again, the orbit is the path around, and this one is the path around the Earth, this one is the path around the sun. Okay, the next scientist was Copernicus. And he thought that there were perfect circle orbits. So what came after that was Kepler. and he discovered that the orbits are an ellipse. Ellipse orbits. And that's kind of an oval shape rather than a perfect circle like this. It goes in kind of an oval shape. Okay, so Galileo came after that. And he invented the telescope, and his findings supported this model. So it was a really big breakthrough in science. So he invented a telescope, and his findings supported this model. And that's really the key part, is that he actually found some evidence to support this model. Okay, so now that we've discussed both models, we'll discuss how they're similar, because the overlapping circles. So one thing that really is important here is showing how the models changed with new evidence. So here you can see it goes from small orbits to perfect circle orbits, and then ellipse, and then the telescope that actually supported, right? It helped find some evidence for it. So this shows, my marker's running out, how models can change with new evidence. Okay, and that should conclude. So this, again, this shows the geocentric model, and these traits go with that, and then the same on this side. And this really shows how both the models change with new evidence. So this is what we currently have evidence supporting.